Today we're talking about why the INFJ needs intensity in their life. If you're an INFJ, you're probably aware of this. We're not the type of person that is comfortable to live the exact same day over and over again where there's no excitement, that everything is sure, you don't know if there's any uncertainty there. We need that intensity. And today we're going to talk about how that actually comes out in our life. We're going to talk about the fact that if we're not aware that we crave this intensity, it actually comes out in unhealthy ways, in relationships, in situations that are not good for us, and in other circumstances that just make our life hard. And on the other hand, if we know this and if we use this to our advantage, we can use this crave and this need for intensity in order to create the life we always wanted. So let's look behind the facade and find out why we crave intensity so much and how we can make the best out of it. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the poster on the formula to an INFJ Epic Life. And if you want to take it to the next level, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. INFJs need and crave intensity in their life because that's how our mind works. We are not the type that goes out and does like all of those things in a physical way, right? We're not ESTPs, we're not sensors. So our intensity will not come out like this most of the time, right? We're not going to be the ones who initiate drama. We are not going to be the ones who need to have any kind of situation that makes us mad and we yell at people or anything of that sort. This is so not the INFJ way to live. But the truth is that if you look around you, you very often do have people who have this intensity on the outside, and we are attached to that. So we either have friends who are all about drama, or we put ourselves in situations where we want to help somebody who needs help. And because they need that help, this intensity just is part of their everyday life. And we're the ones who can fix that somehow. That is one of the skills that we do have. Because one of the things that we're good at is to stay in a calm state when around us a storm is erupting. When around us drama is happening, when nothing is working out the way it should be, that's the moment the INFJ shines, because that's the moment where we can stay in alignment with how we want to feel. And what does that actually mean? That means that if we want to prove to ourselves that we can do this, we actually put ourselves in situations where we have to prove it. So that's why you see INFJs so often in situations where we barely survive. We are great at keeping our head above water because we put so much on our shoulders, as in other people's problems, circumstances that are difficult. We make that part of our life because we have to prove to ourselves, I can do this. And we do this by taking on all of that and still being able to keep our head above water. Others will probably not be able to do that. And that's the way it comes out as a default state in INFJs. The truth is, though, that if we do this, we're not acting in our best interest. We crave this intensity, and if we're not aware of it, if we're not taking charge of it, something like this happens. Because the alternative is that you make your life as easy as possible, as boring as possible. So this intensity has to find a way to come out, and then it can come out in a healthy way. This intensity can come out in a healthy way if you choose a life that is outside the norm. Meaning you choose a hobby, you choose a vocation, you choose a career, you choose a healthy relationship that will create some intensity in your life. But you're not going after those things that seem right in front of you, as in intense relationships because they're not healthy. A job where you need to do more than what you're supposed to in order to actually keep this whole thing going. Or to have situations with relatives or with your apartment that cause you to feel intensely every single day. We are very much addicted to this feeling. It is based on the fact that we can stay calm, and it's something that we're really good at. All types tend to do this. All types tend to say, okay, my first function is my strongest one, and so I'm going to go all into that. But we overextend ourselves. Going into NI, going into introverted intuition, the first function of the INFJ actually means we stay in our own world no matter what happens on the outside. And if we're not careful, we're going to go so far out of what is currently happening and go into our mind, we detach ourselves from reality that we can't even find our way back. it will seem that much harder to create a normal life that is exciting, that is healthy, and that is still peaceful. Through doing this for decades, most of us have become addicted to this kind of feeling. So that actually leads to the fact that we couldn't be okay with living a life that seems boring at first glance, right? And so subconsciously, we are attracted to any kind of situations and people that are not healthy, and we could help them. So what are we going to learn out of that? Well, firstly, we can definitely learn that we do have that skill. We can stay calm when there is an external situation that could rock the boat, but it doesn't rock our boat. We stay calm in that storm. So that's the first thing. That is actually a good thing. We just have to make sure that we use it in a healthy situation. And second of all, we can come to terms with the fact that we are in fact scared of a boring life. Because a boring life means no intensity. And if you're in that default state, it seems like there are only two options. You either attach yourself to people and situations that feel somehow unsafe, where you have to use the skill of yours in order to stay calm, although there's chaos around you, and you feel like, I can do this, right? And the situation as a result brings me some intensity. Or you say, I'm going to say no to all of that. I'm going to stay away from people that are unhealthy. I'm not going to fix people. I'm going to stay only around people who are calm, who are collected, where everything seems totally fine and totally boring. I will tell you this, if you as an INFJ only have those two options, in 99.9% of the cases, you will go for the first case scenario, because a life that seems sort of hard is still more interesting to an INFJ than a boring life. Having a boring life is one of the scariest aspects to INFJs because it doesn't make us feel alive. We need to feel that intensity in one way or another because of the way our functions are set up. It also has to do with the fact that SE, so extroverted sensing, is our last function. It's the function that is all about drive, that is all about this intensity externally. And so although we don't really do that much, we need it around us. We need that stimulation. So what is the solution here? Are we really at a point where we have to choose between a life where we barely survive or a life that is boring? The answer is no. We don't have to do that at all. But we have to be aware of the fact that if we want to get to a place that is better than that, so a life that is exciting because we're thriving, because we're creating something that is outside of the norm, something that makes us feel alive and actually re-energizes us. It's not a situation where we use all our strength in order to, carry other people's baggages or baggage that we don't need to carry. And we prove to ourselves that we're alive by being able to keep our head above water. No, we don't do that anymore. The ideal situation is where you make your life as easy as possible and you use all that strength that you do have to not just keep your head above water, but to catapult you to a level you've never been at, where you continuously grow, where you use all the energy you have to create more and more abundance for you and the people around you. That's where we want to get to. And how do we do that? Well, we actually have to go through that boring phase. We have to face the fears that are connected with that. And those fears are, I'm not going to feel alive if I'm not surrounded by chaos. What is that based on? That is based on the fact that the only way we have learned to experience this excitement and this intensity of our lives is if an external storm is happening and we stay calm within that. But that's not the only way to do it. A much healthier way is to have actually no storm at all around you, as small of a storm as humanly possible, and then create that intensity by yourself. Because once you do this, you are actually in control of this intensity. You are at the wheel of it. You are an active part. That's the moment when you become the leading character of your movie. That's when you become the main character of your life. And the main difference is that we say, I don't want this intensity around me. And this is the most important part here, I take responsibility to creating intensity in my life. And I'm not doing this subconsciously by putting myself around people who will, force this out of me. No, I'm going to do this by making sure that the relationships that I have are stable, that the situations that I'm in are safe, And then because I've faced all my fears that are connected with that, I'm going to have a boring life, which of course you're not going to have, but you have to face that fear, right? Because on some level, you believe there are only those two ways, either a boring life or an exciting life based on all the things that are happening around you and you keeping your head above water. That's how we've conditioned ourselves. This is what has helped us to get to the place we are right now, but there's more. And you have to go through that middle ground in order to make that happen. So ask yourself, how can I make my life as comfortable as possible, as boring as possible, so I can then use all the excess energy that I have, that I needed in order to survive, to create a situation where I can thrive. So that's when we talk about getting a better job. That's when we talk about like tapping into your vocation. That's when we're talking about taking on adventures in your life and doing things that are outside the box, out of the norm. Because you as an INFJ, you might say, I do things out of the norm all the time. But if you go a little bit deeper, you will recognize that most of those things are happening inside your mind. I'm not saying they're not happening. I know they are. But those are always things like I think about a situation more than I should. I'm able to look behind the facade. I'm able to understand somebody really well. We create this outside of the norm life, and it only exists within our mind. And if that happens, we're not seeing the progress in life altogether. That's the moment where we take on all the pain that is happening outside of us and sort of make it work within us. That's the moment where you say, I'm staying in a place where my head is above water. If you want to get to a place where you're thriving, the intensity that you can handle should be happening on the outside. It's a situation that you can call an externally observable fact. That's how I always call it. Because we as INFJs have a hard time distinguishing between what is going on in our mind and what is happening in real life. Right? Those things are so intertwined when it comes to us that it's important to ask ourselves, if I would tell somebody about this, would that be really something that is externally observable? Meaning understanding somebody really well, not really externally observable. Applying for a job that is outside of what you're currently doing and having handed in that application, that is an externally observable fact. So after this video, get a piece of paper and write down, how would I want my life to be? In all the 5 areas that I always talk about when it comes to the 5 pillars of an INFJ epic life. How do you want to create a life that brings you more energy? What kind of relationships do you want to have? Is it that you want to have a different kind of romantic relationship? Is it a friendship group that you're looking for? Like, define those things. What is it you want in regards to wealth management? How is it with vocation, so your purpose? And what kind of priorities you want to set? You know, the 5 pillars to an INFJ epic life poster can help you with this as well. That as well you can find in links in the description. But the point is that once you've defined what you want in those areas, it's time that you make a plan. If it's not externally observable, it's not a good enough step. And in order to make that happen, you need to have a life that is as calm as possible underneath that. So you say, I want to have a stable family life. I want to have a stable, living situation. I want to have a stable friendship group with people that I can trust. And if I want that excitement in my life, if I want that intensity, then I'm creating it through doing something that requires me to step out of the norm, that requires me to stay calm by putting myself in an unknown situation. That unknown situation is going to be your storm now. And it's going to be your storm until you can handle it, until this too becomes, a normal baseline, something that is calming to you. And then you take on the next thing. Because this is what we're good at. Being in a situation that is full of chaos, full of unknown, and we make reason out of it, and we create calmness within that. So instead of going into a situation that is all chaos, where you just enable the person or the situation to continue and you're just the one who's fixing it, choose a different kind of life where you're saying, I'm not taking on the problems of others. I'm not taking on the responsibility of others because I don't want to be somebody that enables them. If I help somebody, then it's because something we've talked about, something where it's obviously that I'm mentoring somebody or I'm helping somebody. It's not a situation where somebody thinks you're on one level and you're actually saving that person, on the down low. That's not what we want. That is the situation that keeps us getting in trouble over and over again. We crave intensity. We need intensity. So let's use it to create that INFJ epic life we always wanted, right? And the easiest way to do that is to create calmness in your life, because this intensity will come out one way or another. And if there's no unhealthy way for it to come out, it will come out in a healthy way. And that's when you see yourself thriving. That's when you see yourself getting in situations that continue to get better and make your life better and better. Remember, if you want some more insight on how to make that happen, then get the poster on the formula to an INFJ Epic Life. And if you want to take it to the next level, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video Why Being Around an INFJ is Like Being on Drugs.